Hey, this is Joe Gilder with Presonus. I want to talk to you today about step 4 of my 5-step mix process. In the previous videos, I've covered steps 1 through 3. Today, shocker, we're going to talk about step 4. Step 4 for me is called top-down mixing. Maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't. Let me run through it really quickly. It has a couple of different names. Some people maybe call it something like bus mixing. I've called it backwards mixing before, which is more confusing than it is helpful. The idea is thinking in terms of mixing from the top down versus the bottom up. Let's start by explaining what bottom up means. This is kind of the default mode you fall into when you first get into mixing. You have a bunch of tracks, drums, bass, guitars, and you start with the kick drum and you mix the kick drum. Then you turn up the snare drum, get the snare drum sounding good, and you repeat that process all the way down the line. Not a wrong or bad process, but maybe you've experienced this. You do that for a little while and you get to the final track in the song and you listen to everything and it doesn't really sound all that better. You've mixed 24 individual tracks to make them sound good by themselves, but you haven't necessarily made them sound good together. You haven't really mixed anything. It's like you took the ingredients for a cake and have them all in separate containers and they're all really great, but it's not a cake. Anyway, the idea with top-down mixing is a couple things. First of all, it can be more efficient. You could actually mix faster by doing less. So it kind of jabs at that minimalist thing that's really fun to think about, but can actually produce better results in less time. That's the idea here. Not to do less for the sake of less, not to be lazy just because we're lazy, but to actually give ourselves a way to keep our hands off the mix. Because what a lot of people do is they overmix songs. They think because they can put 8 plugins on every track that they should. They think because they can compress every track that they should. And anytime you start to do things just because you can, some light bulb, red alarm bells, alarm should go off in your head. Flag should go up saying, maybe not. Maybe I can leave this alone. This gets back to what I mentioned in step 1, or in step 2, which was to get a good static mix. The idea is if the tracks are well recorded and you get a good balance, your mix should be a good chunk of the way there. Now the job is to fix the big problems like we did in the last step, and then do some top-down mixing to finally start shaping the sound of the mix and honing in on that final sound that we want. You know what? It works better if I just show you. Let's jump in. It works out well that I showed you drums in the last video because drums are a great way to showcase this whole top-down mixing idea. So let's continue with these drums. To refresh your memory, here is our drum mix thus far. It's just a static mix of the drums. We haven't done anything except some EQ across these channels here. Common sense would say, okay, I want to go maybe do some EQ on the kick and some EQ on the snare and some compression and all those things that we love about drums. And then maybe I'll do something to my drum bus later, like drum bus compression. Just in case you can't follow along here, all these blue tracks are my drum tracks, and they're all coming to this channel, which is my drum bus, which is also a folder, so I can show and hide things, which is fun. On my drum bus, I have a fat channel plugin inserted, and it's got a couple of my favorite plugins on there. So this classic compressor can be really cool on drums, and this vintage EQ is great. It's just a good all-around EQ I use all over the place. But the idea here is, what if we could get really close to the drum sound we want by just doing some EQ and compression on the entire drum bus instead of the individual drums? Does this work every time? No. But does it work a lot of the time for me? Yeah, it does. Some styles of music may not lend themselves to this as much as others, but again, the idea here is if you suffer from a case of the overmixies, then maybe doing some top-down mixing will give you some of that restraint to not overmix. So maybe the first round of mixing for you, once you've done up to this step, maybe the first part for step 4 for you is you just do processing on the individual buses, meaning you just do processing on the drum bus, the guitar bus, the vocal bus, the keyboard bus, and try to do things on a more global macro level before you zoom in and do the things on the individual level. That's the idea, top down. Start with the end, start with the top of the mix. I know it's confusing. Start with what everything's going through, like the buses, and then work your way down to the individual tracks themselves. So let's do that. Let's try. I like the way these drums sound. I don't feel like they need any big EQ moves right now. So I want to see what this compressor sounds like when I kick it on. Let's go. Okay, that sounds pretty good. It's a little snappier, the kick's a little punchier, snare's a little punchier, everything is kind of pulled together a little tighter. Let's compare and make sure we're not just making it louder, but actually making it better. Here we go. I think maybe we can go a little more aggressive. Let's pull the threshold down and just see kind of what happens. Might be, let's go too much and then pull it back. Kind of like it. There's some artifacts in my, I dialed it back a little bit, but even the aggressive compression was kind of cool, especially on the kick and the snare. Cymbals got a little washy, which is going to happen. But the idea here is, yes, we are doing kind of what you may consider a more aggressive sounding compression here. But what we're also doing is we're doing it on the entire drum bus as opposed to the individual tracks, which means we could do this much compression here and maybe not have to compress anything else in the drum kit. I've done that a lot. That sounds crazy, but it's actually worked out in a mix where I'm thinking, you know what, these drums actually work really well with just some compression on the drum mix bus. Okay, let's just continue that thought and try a little EQ on the drums. What does it need? Okay, a little, I mean, granted, this is a little bit of a smiley face EQ, meaning we boosted a little bit of the lows to warm it up, cut a little bit of the mids, the boxiness, and then boosted a little bit in the upper mids, like 5K. But that gave us a little bit thicker low end and snare. On the kick and snare have a little more low end. Mid-range is contained just a little bit, and a little bit extra snap on that snare and the upper frequencies. That works pretty well. So overall, here's our sound without any plugins, and we'll turn the plugins on, and listen to what we were able to do on our entire drum kit with just 2 plugins, a compressor and an EQ. Is this mix finished? Are the drums done? No, they're not. But this gives you an example. And this is a little over the top example, but I wanted you to hear. It's surprising. It still surprises me to this day how great you can make things sound when you really limit yourself. If I just told you, sorry, these drums are already mixed, you can't get to the individual tracks, you have to do it on the bus, you can do a lot. And this is just standard compression and EQ. Imagine if you're using multiband or parallel processing, or you're rendering out the cymbals to a different bus and everything else to this bus. You can do a lot of different things, but the simplicity of it to me is really, really great. Now we could go in and we could do some more subtle, less aggressive adjustments on the individual kicks, the snares, the toms, the overheads to really just massage this sound and get it sounding great. But 2 plugins, just 2 plugins, we made a whole 12 tracks worth of stuff sound pretty stinking good. And that's the idea behind top-down mixing. Do this on the drums, and then stop and go do it on the bass, and do it on the electric guitars, and on the acoustic guitars, and on all the keyboards, and then all the vocal tracks mixed together, and all the background vocal tracks mixed together. It essentially, instead of looking at this like there's 50 plus tracks in this session, you could think about it as if there were only drums, bass, electrics, acoustics, keys, vocals, background vocals. And that's our song. And then if that doesn't work and you can't quite get the sound you want on the bus, then go into the individual tracks and start messing with those a little bit. But if we've done our job well up to this point, things should be sounding really great, and we should be able to just start massaging and shaping the tone from this bigger, top, higher level, and then work our way down to the individual tracks as needed. That's the concept behind top-down mixing. Is it the only way to mix? No, but it has worked well for me over the years, and I think it would behoove you to at least try it if you've never tried it before. See if it works for you on your mixes. And of course, once you do, come back and leave a comment and let us know. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe. See you in the next one.